Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. As always, a good way to support the channel is by leaving a like, by leaving a comment, or by subscribing if you have not already done so. And I have a new NFT coming out in a couple of hours. For those of you who are interested, there is a link in the description below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it because you know the news is going to be very special today. At the moment, the cryptocurrency market is all over the place. No way to really sugarcoat it. The drops in the market prices of cryptocurrencies, it is abundantly clear, are being controlled by some outside or inside force, depending on how you want to look at it. It says Bitcoin price compressing again. Which direction will it move after the blast? We are trading in a very weird trading range. We are still getting, and I don't have a lot of them here. We had more of them yesterday. I refuse to have the extra inside of today's video. Basically, where JP Morgan Chase and I think some other major bank are insisting that Bitcoin has to go below $30,000 in order to make it attractive once again for institutions to be able to buy it, once again being nonsensical, because what's the difference between now and, you know, $800 difference, if you will. So a lot of the price news floating around basically had to do with Bitcoin's going down. Ethereum looks like it's going to continue going down. Is it going to move back up? It looks like it's going to move up eventually. When it does move back up, it's going to be explosive. Prices are going down right now. That was basically it. So anyway, that's more or less all the price news. And let's moving on. On top of that as well, for those of you who have not checked inflation news in about 24 hours, I know it's very exciting. It is abundantly clear that inflation is here, and even more so that it's here with the US dollar. We've had news and discussions and panel reports and yada yadas from the Federal Reserve basically declaring that inflation was not going to be a problem. Inflation was not going to be a thing. They were going to print trillions of dollars, billions every single day to buy back stocks and securities and to do whatever else Fed people do with the extra trillions of dollars that they're printing. But they noted that the economy would feel no difference from it because they expected inflation rates to actually be roughly around the same normal 1 to 2% that we have already been having per year, but it's never actually 1 to 2%. It's usually 2+%, but that's also an entirely different discussion. So lo and behold, yeah, inflation is actually here. People are feeling it in the prices. It says taper tensions. Jay Powell under pressure as U.S. inflation rises. U.S. inflation hits a 13-year high in June, and I believe, yeah, it says consumer prices rose by 5.4% in the 12 months to the end of June, up from 5% the previous month. So, I don't know why these people lie to us. I assume it's to not cause panic in the streets because, once again, I assume if you went out and openly said, yeah, we messed up, things are looking bad, people would be a bit annoyed. But alas, yeah, prices are going to continue rising just across the board. The current tapering, what's the other term that people use, is quantitative easing, if you also want to call it that as well, that's currently happening, is going to be happening until at least the end of 2023. You can find articles for that. Like type in U.S. inflation Fed 2023. You'll find all the articles you want about it. Yeah, so we knew this last year. I told you there were articles and there were videos of people in the States going to their supermarket and they were like, things are a lot more expensive than they were just, a couple of months ago. And usually the thing that's being attributed to it as well, it's just meat and certain vegetables. No, it's everything. Everything is going up in price. Everyone I know who lives in the States is constantly telling me. And it's also having a wide effect on asset prices as well, which also look quite inflated now as well. I have a couple of friends who were trying to buy homes, especially as everyone was stuck in their homes. Remember that time? And prices were rising by 13, 14, 15% for these assets when no one was even buying. So that's the inflation news. It's definitely here. I assume, I gave it a week. we're going to have another meeting from the Fed or another thing where they're on TV basically saying, yeah, those numbers are not correct and we're actually at 2% and nobody worry, keep buying fiat currencies. Anyway, that's not how they talk, but you get the gist of what they're saying. Anyway, that's the U.S. inflation news because it's definitely here. And if it's inflating for the U.S. dollar, we can only assume that other fiat currencies are also inflating as well. And without further ado, let's moving on. Next up, this is probably the most popular news story of the day. On Tuesday, the 13th of July, the Brazilian Securities Regulator, or the CVM, approved the first ever cryptocurrency exchange traded fund that tracks the performance of Ether in Latin America. The QR Asset Management announced the approval of this Ether ETF called Nope, not going to say that. It's called QETH11, which shall be listed on the Brazilian stock exchange B3. This makes it the first exchange in the whole of South America. Wow. To list a 100% Ethereum ETF. QETH11 will follow the CME CF Ether reference rate, with which the CME group uses to track the performance of Ether. The QETH11 will buy Ethereum in the open market and carry out the custody for investors in a safe and secure environment using Gemini's custodial services, which we're going to remember the word Gemini because we're going to get into that in a couple of minutes. And I think something not, I was going to use the word musky, like not in Elon Musk, but like in its actual sense, is currently taking place. Something odd is taking place in the cryptocurrency space. The latest Ethereum ETF provides a gateway for institutional players to gain Ethereum exposure in a secure and regulated environment. This is very popular news because the U.S. still has not, to date, issued the go-ahead for any type of an ETF in any capacity for cryptocurrencies. And the Brazilian regulators finally have one as well. I think there are in total 15 to 20 of these floating around right now. The news typically is for an ETF that the company who is launching said ETF is actually accumulating the asset themselves. So when there is a Bitcoin ETF anywhere in the world, they are accumulating Bitcoin for the fund. People buy into the fund to gain exposure to said asset, which I still think is one of the dumbest things on the planet, because I'd rather have the actual physical asset than have exposure to it. But that's just my particular in investment way of investing. So the news is Brazil now has an Ethereum ETF. I assume many other people around the world are also going to be able to have exposure to this as well. Not simply people just in Brazil, but also people within Latin America and also many other places as well. We had news before that when Canada, I think, launched their first 3 Bitcoin Ethereum ETFs, other people in North America were also able to gain exposure to them as well. So cool. This was bound to happen. Congratulations on that. And yeah, it's not that I don't have enthusiasm for this. It's more like these things shouldn't be like, what's the word? Celebrated, because it's just the launching of something that other people are already doing. Normal people are already accumulating these assets. But the happiness is supposed to come from that the regulators said that one entity is able to do the same exact thing that we're all able to do. Anyway, that's the Latin America now has an Ethereum ETF that I assume has also been accumulating Ethereum, because that's the point of the actual ETF. And let's move on. Next up, S&P Dow Jones Indices, the leading index provider of some of the world's largest equity benchmarks, has launched a new cryptocurrency index that tracks the performance of the broader digital asset market. The S&P Cryptocurrency Broad Digital Market Index, that's a long name, labeled BDM, okay, that works, tracks more than 240 digital assets at launch and represents an expansion of the firm's recently launched crypto benchmarks. In addition to the BDM, the company has also launched 4 other crypto-focused indexes on Tuesday, each tracking various components of the broader digital market benchmark. They are the S&P Large Cap Fund, they are the S&P BDM X Mega Cap, that sounds like a Digimon, S&P cryptocurrency BDM large cap. There's mega cap and large cap. Sure, why not? And the S&P cryptocurrency large cap X mega. Stop it. If you've never watched Digimon, these all sound like Digimon. The mega cap, the large cap, the S&P cryptocurrency large cap X mega cap index. No one had any other words in the English language that they could use except for large cap X mega cap. Anyway, the news is how do I put this into like a very quick sentence? A lot of people get very excited whenever anything in the traditional older markets absorbs cryptocurrencies or kind of says, hey, buddy, you're welcome at our table. For those of you who don't know, and you should have all known at this point, they're all buying cryptocurrencies. They're all in the cryptocurrency space. The two largest stock exchanges in America basically announced once again years ago that they believe that Bitcoin is going to become a world currency. You can find it. It happened around 2018, somewhere around there. Type in like world currency NASDAQ. You'll find it. It's all over the place. So whenever they add more indexes, it means that we as a market are more validated in this way because now we are now traditional investors have more exposure to our market, and they can see when they turn on the news, Bitcoin sliding at the bottom, or when they go to their favorite website to check prices, they see that Bitcoin is also there in the wider cryptocurrency space and how much the ETFs are worth and yada, yada, yada. So it's significant in that, it really does open the door for millions, if not tens or hundreds of millions of people who are into other types of finance to be able to have more access to our market or to see exactly what's going on with our market. But everyone lost their mind over this news. Cool. I assumed they were going to do this before. I'm pretty sure the S&P and the NASDAQ already have other cryptocurrency indexes, but now these are the broader 240 coin index funds, and eventually there will be, I'm certain of it, there are already NFT funds. There are companies who are buying up NFTs to put them in museums. I'm not sure what they're buying them for explicitly at this moment, but there's going to be eventually NFT indexes and DeFi indexes and all this other stuff and what have you. So cool. Exciting times, validation for us, pat ourselves on the back. Yeah, we're awesome. And yeah, let's move on. And this is my opinion, but this is a little bit too coordinated right now. For those of you who have not been here on the channel the last 2 weeks, it's been no more than 2 weeks. A lot of investors, a lot of regulators are throwing stones at Binance. Part of the problem is that Binance does not have a physical location. I assume because of everything that's taking place, they're probably looking for actual offices right now. Just an idea. Regulators want to be able to walk up to your office and hand you a letter. That's basically it. They want to know that if you have done something wrong in their eyes, they want to be able to go physically and tell you, hey, you did something wrong. You got to come to our office. And that's basically how it goes. But the Binance news is piling on a bit too heavy and is all happening at the exact same time. Now, once again, my opinion as we read through this, because I feel like this has been all a bit of a setup, my opinion. Gemini Exchange co-founder Cameron Winklevoss has stated that the company expects to overtake the current largest crypto exchange by volume, Binance, predicting its emphasis on compliance will win out as regulators increasingly crack down on unregulated exchanges. Binance is relatively regulated. It's just that they don't have physical locations. And it's very easy for them to be able to do. I don't expect Binance to completely crumble into itself because U.S. regulators, and then we're also going to get into that as well, have a slight issue with them not having a certain certification, or the United Kingdom everything within there not liking Binance. Just throwing that out there. As reported by Bloomberg on Monday, Cameron Winklevoss emphasized the importance of bending the knee and adhering to regulators' demands, stating that Gemini is playing the long game. They said, we're trying to be the fastest tortoise in the race. The long game pays off over time. The comments came as Binance faces increasing regulatory pressure, with the United Kingdom's Financial Conduct Authority telling Binance that it wasn't authorized to carry out regulated activities. in the country late June. A banking blockade followed as several high street banks curtailed their customers' activities with the exchange. Part of the really big problem that I have with this, now there's doing something wrong, and then there's doing something wrong, but nobody pays attention to you until they decide to pay attention to you. Binance has been around since 2017. Part of the issue that I normally have with regulators is that if you know that someone is doing something wrong, tell them so that they can correct their mistake and that they can move forward for the next 4 years without doing something incorrect. This happened a lot of times with the SEC. The SEC was launching lawsuits and stuff like that against cryptocurrency companies and cryptocurrency whatevers who had been around for 3 or 4 years. You assume that regulators are looking around at the space and are trying to regulate it. You would assume that after being around for a year and some change, if you did not receive a letter in the mail, well, you're good to go. You're not doing anything wrong. Same thing happened to Ripple. The former head of the SEC got them in trouble on his last day in office, corruption. And also, Ripple had been around since around 2015 or something like that. If you know that they're doing something wrong, immediately tell them. Usually the justification is that people within any country, said country, whether it be the UK or the US, are being exposed to unregulated securities or unregulated activities by a company. If you know that your people in your country are being exposed to something that could harm them financially, why are you waiting for 4 years to tell them? So Binance has been around since 2017. And part of the problem with what I have going on right now is that Binance has been around since 2017. Binance became the number one cryptocurrency exchange, I believe, in 2018 and 2019, completely passing by Coinbase because Coinbase was terrible. And this is why Coinbase is trying to add so many coins right now, because Coinbase was completely being left behind. So everyone is mimicking Binance. But the issue is now everybody has a problem with Binance. You didn't have a problem with them 4 months ago, 5 months ago, 12 months ago, a year ago, when they were even more popular than they... So, and also on top of that as well, there's a lot of news floating around and circulating about the Winklevoss twins, and or more so the Gemini Exchange, and how the Gemini Exchange is looking to take over, not acquire, but like actually jump over Binance or become the number one over Binance or so-and-so over Binance. I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. You're the most you're the most boring cryptocurrency exchange on the planet. And I know, I got it. I know that people, sorry if you can hear the construction. I know that there are people who like Gemini. I've seen them in the comment section. People say it's very easy to use. You kind of go onto it, yada, yada, yada. But they are not like other cryptocurrency exchanges, and other cryptocurrency exchanges are just better. They have a better user interface. They have a lot more coins. You have a lot more options. You can do a lot more things. I think for the longest time, Gemini also had like 5 coins when Binance had like 340, and even Coinbase had over 150. It's just kind of weird that all this news is coming out back to back about how bad Binance is, or regulatory compliance for Binance. But now the Gemini twins, Gemini Exchange, is being touted as like the answer to all of these things. And why I say it's coordinated is because the news is coming out far too quick behind each other. Poland regulators spread warning against cryptocurrency exchange Binance. Oh my gosh, wow, that's crazy. A group of users is battling Binance to get their money back after May's crash. The idea is that these people, from what I allegedly have read around the internet, these people are allegedly saying that they had leveraged positions during some type of a run-up in the market or run down in the market. Binance had a power outage, and therefore these people are like, hey, we lost bajillions of dollars, allegedly. We want our money back. Binance suspends withdrawals for UK customers. The news is coming way too quick. Once again, if you are going to regulate, I ask that you regulate in a timely manner. It doesn't make any sense that you would have allowed people in the UK exposure to something that would be financially damaging to them. And now you mention it after 4 years. Same exact thing with the US SEC. And this is why I think a lot of this stuff is hyper corrupt. So, Gemini Exchange sticks the boot in as regulatory woes pile in for Binance. Binance will probably just have to, now this is how it works. if you've never seen this before. Binance will probably just have to open up a number of physical locations. I don't think they have one in the US. I know there is a Binance US. They'll probably have to open up a place in California and one in New York or something like that. And they'll probably have to do the same thing on some high street in the UK. And then they'll have to sign paperwork saying, hey, we'll make sure that we do X, Y, and Z. Here's $20 million as a compliance fee, and everybody will move on. But yeah, so like I said, this is just how I feel about it, but it's a bit too much all at one time. It's the same exact thing when Ripple first got the lawsuit against them. The news for the next week and a half was just negative news against Ripple. If you're gonna try and not make it as obvious, spread the news out over the course of like a week and a half, like every other article a week and a half, and not the same exact day. Anyway, that's all the Binance news, and let's move on. And to finish things off, BNY Mellon has reaffirmed its involvement with the cryptocurrency space by agreeing to be the asset service provider for Grayscale's BTC trust. We heard about BNY Mellon 6-7 months ago. They're the oldest bank in the United States, and they got into cryptocurrency. I think they are a custodier, and also I think they were trying to launch their own cryptocurrency exchange. I don't remember exactly what they were trying to do. Every single bank is trying to do the exact same thing with crypto. The world's largest digital asset manager, Grayscale, has partnered with America's oldest bank, BNY Mellon. As a result, the banking giant will provide the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust with fund accounting and administration starting later this year. The announcement from Grayscale states that as of the 1st of October of this year, BNY Mellon will become an official partner with several services orientated, I don't know why, towards the company's largest fund. Namely, the oldest U.S. bank will provide the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust with fund accounting and administration. The more important part that everyone is focusing on is, additionally, the banking institution will assist the asset manager's endeavors to convert their Bitcoin trust into an ETF. That's the biggest news. Grayscale recently reaffirmed its plans to file with the SEC to have its own Bitcoin ETF. So the news is that they're trying to basically... a lot of the largest banks are actually standing behind Grayscale. And I mean, at some point it has to happen. Basically, as Grayscale is seemingly, in essence, its own ETF without the words ETF. They're trying to get all the paperwork in order to be able to convert their current Bitcoin trust that they have into, on paper, something that says a Bitcoin ETF. It should be relatively simple, but, the US SEC is dinosaurs and corruption, what have you, whatnot. The news still is that people expect by the end of this year that we will see a Bitcoin ETF. Who knows if it's going to happen? I explicitly doubt it. I don't think the US will ever allow one. I think we have a good 3 to 4 years before someone's like, should we do it? Because at this point, it's drawn out and it's just a little annoying. Even people within the SEC are giving interviews and they're like, I'm shocked we didn't have one 3 years ago. So the news is Grayscale is the largest, I believe the largest asset manager, cryptocurrency asset manager on the planet. The oldest U.S. bank, BNY Mellon, is going to be helping them with paperwork to transition their Bitcoin trust into an ETF, which would then only cause not only Grayscale to do very well, but also the price of Bitcoin to do very well. And then everybody else would simply mimic Grayscale and do the exact same thing. It could be that maybe this is just another avenue to try and do it. Maybe this has worked before where companies have figured out that they couldn't get an ETF launched for something or other, and therefore they took a company that already had something ETF-esque, tweaked a couple of words on a piece of paper, and then they got their ETF. So Bitcoin will be just fine without an ETF, but the rich people and banking people really want an ETF for whatever reason. Why not just mimic what Grayscale is doing and just accumulate Bitcoin this way? Or like MicroStrategy. Anyway, that's that news. Yeah. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters. Professor Wally from Gunbot University, Fudweiser, Mortified, Roman Gaber, Bitcoin, Ben, Arachno, Dave, Tony, Ambroski, The Dealers, Den, Red Plum, Tomato, New Wish, Nikki, The Letter M, Stefan Dirks, Not Brain, Captain Something in the Z-Way, Leg, Crypto, Black Sheep, AJ Cut 5, Speedy 655, and Carlos was like, Mobarazzi, Jojo, Shasho, VB Nerd 21, Magaro, Gole, Lauren, De Silva, Quarterbitty, Barebones, Mining, Troy, All Good, Space Casey, The Miracle, Pattern, Oster, Conan, Oscar, Black Day, Stacky, Chan, Tolik, Banana, Suspicious, Agile, and Blockchain, Navarro, Williams, David James, Attila Han, Yasha, Harada, Utopia, 569, Moonmate, Hot XRP, Martin, Stroy, Nostromo, John Sarson, the Anna Marita, Bibliophobe, Todd Mullis, Adam Grayscale, Marbaroni, Matches in Thailand, Jared Hunter, Wise Knight, Owl 242 to the World Bank, World Network, Crypto Artist, Cold D3D, Damien Sasuna, Rich III, Vlad, Pale, Paxis, Nick Manji, Lavori, Anthony Charles, Jim Garner, Jamie Fox, Minting Coins, Miller Hitch, Jesse and Gossip Leg Day, Yes to Crypto, Body McButtface, and Somebody's Muscular Staff, Bake Me a Cake, Tigger, Machanisa, On Crypto with Lana, Krilla, Michelle, URL, and Below Bastos. Thank you all very, very much for your support. Thank you to everyone who is a member of the channel. Thank you to everyone for all your support with my NFTs. Thank you to everyone who left a like, a comment, or has subscribed. And thank you to everyone who is still listening to me rambling on about the nonsensical cryptocurrency space. There were a couple of articles floating around yesterday where people were like, I am legitimately shocked that we did not shoot up in price yesterday as we got explicit confirmation that inflation is definitely here. The idea being is that Bitcoin is meant to be an inflationary hedge, but once again, trading range, whales, dolphins, and all these other things moving the prices around. But yeah, at the moment, Bitcoin is at $31,907 US. It is down by 3.8%. These movements are so nonsensical, or rather, they are very sensical. I don't think people say sensical, but it's so indicative of manipulation because the drops keep happening way too hard. If you look even closer onto the actual, I mean, this is like a very zoomed out 24-hour portion of it. But if you look at the actual like hourly things, like the movements that are happening are like so coordinated. But I'm in it for the long term, so a lot of these things, they kind of roll off my back, if you will, but it's more like we all know gosh darn well we should not be this low in price at this point. Every day, the news that we're getting of either accumulation, acquisitions, ETFs launching, banks, family offices, the Bitcoin adoption rate, all these things constantly going up, it's clear what's happening. I think the only things that are in green right now are stable coins. Even one of the stable coins was in red. Yep. Anyway, I do hope you all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope that it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.